Welcome to Fact versus Fiction with Jenny Cox and Alison Rachiell, your guides to homeownership.
How you doing today, Jenny?
I'm good, Allison. How are you?
I am great. I'm super excited once again about our topic today because a lot of people don't think that there's any down payment assistance out there. The programs change so often, and I am with an expert, you, in down payment assistance. So you can tell us a little bit about what's going on and Home at Last.
So I wanted to talk to you guys today about the Home at Last program. This is one of my favorite programs to work with in the city. And one of the reasons is because they're able to help people that wouldn't necessarily be able to buy a property if they weren't able to get these down payment assistance funds, right? So that's one of the big things when you're trying to get someone approved that could be a big hurdle, because down payment requirements can be pretty substantial, right? And so if you need 3.5% to put down, but you don't have it, well, we look out to different down payment assistance, and Home at Last is one of the programs that I use a lot of. Have you ever done Home at Last before?
I have done Home at Last with my clients, but I actually worked for Home at Last for 2 years, so I know a little bit about it. And I one of the things I used to tell people is that you can afford your monthly payment. Pay everything on time, but maybe you just need that extra little down payment, and that's what Home at Last does. It gives you that money that has been difficult to save up, even though you've been totally responsible in all areas.
One of the awesome things about having a really knowledgeable real estate agent using Home at Last is it's an area-specific program, right? And so if you're familiar with the down payment assistance areas that this program can fulfill, it's going to make your house search a lot easier. So you're not wondering, oh, does this house qualify or does this house qualify? Allison's going to be able to tell you, yes, you can buy this one, this one, this one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That is probably the biggest challenge for a lot of people, is to make sure that they stay within those areas. But, you know, another thing that's unique about Home at Last is the income requirements. It has an upper income limit that other programs can't match.
So if you're like, oh, you know what, I make way too much money to qualify for down payment assistance, you might be surprised. If you're using Home at Last, the income limits can go up to $134,000.
$134,000, yes. And you get down payment assistance.
Exactly. And the minimum credit score requirement for the clients needs to be a 640. So that might be lower than what you were thinking. Debt to income ratios can sometimes go up to 50%. And there's a bunch of different scenarios that you can work with when it comes to Home at Last, depending on if you're lower income or have the higher income, if we're going FHA or conventional. And so I typically like to take an application for a client first and then look and see and put them in the correct program for them. You can get up to $20,000, I think, for the down payment assistance program. I think the highest that I ever got was $19,700 for a client, which is amazing.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for someone to just give you that you never have to pay back, right? And of course, you know, there's the fine print. If you move within 3 years, then they prorate it, so you might have to get some of it. But if you live in that house for 3 years, that was $20,000 those people got, and they never have to pay back.
You don't necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer. So people are like, oh gosh, I've owned a home in the last 3 years, which makes you not a first-time home buyer. And you can utilize this program. In some instances, you can use it when you own another home.
What? Really? Yes. I did not know that.
Which is pretty cool. So let's say you have a property and you want to rent it out, but you don't have the down payment to buy your next property. We could look and see if you could qualify using this.
Oh, that's awesome, Jenny. You know, you just brought something up, and we haven't touched on it in our videos before. You don't see a client and say, oh, I think I'm just going to put them into that program. It's my favorite program. You see a client, you take all of their information, talk to them, find out what their needs are, and then give them the options to pick which programs that they need, if they need any, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So different programs are going to have different requirements. And one of the reasons I want to get a full application is we want to see what your credit is, what your income is, what your employment history, because that actually matters depending on which program you're going in. Have you been with your current employer for 6 months? Well, you may be able to qualify for Home at Last, but your credit score might need to be a little higher, right? And so if I have all the pieces of the puzzle in front of me, I can say, okay, you can qualify for X, Y, and Z, and then you can choose what makes the most sense for you and your family.
But that's what I love about you. You're willing to put everything on the table and let people make their own choices.
Absolutely. One of the other requirements for this particular program, homebuyer education. So they have a link on their website at Home at Last, how.org, I believe is the website name, where you can go on and you can take the homebuyer education course, and it has a ton of great information, especially if you've never purchased a property.
Is it an 8-hour course?
No, not this one. This one's pretty quick. It's about 20-30 minutes.
I actually knew that when I asked her the question, but it's super informative, but not time consuming. And I think it's well worth your time. Yeah, especially to get, maybe up to $20,000.
So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Thank you so much for joining us.
And join us the next time. We're going to talk about another program for you. Also, please like us, share us, let people know that we're here to help you learn about getting a home.
Yeah. Then join us next time on Fact versus Fiction.